Hello everybody and welcome back to another One Piece Burning Blood video. My name is Silvokiji, and this is TheZoneGamingGo, the pinnacle of One Piece Burning Blood competitive action. Really? Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Pinnacle. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about the final team composition or team type of TheZoneGamingGo, created by myself, Silvokiji. This one is not going to be balanced, as I kept telling you over and over again, because I was going through the motion. I was like, you know what, I think we need another term for this. So I decided to call this team type special. And the reason I'm calling it special is because it varies. Because you can go between different types using this team type, but at the same time, just like, you know, a jack of all trades in an RPG game, they may be good at everything, but they're just not pinpointing that one thing that you're like, man, he's really awesome at that. You know, like Claudette in Tales of Symphonia, or Ricky in Xenoblade Chronicles. I think that's what game he's part of. Okay, so moving on here. So I'm going to go basically tell you 3 different team compositions that I know from different players, basically kind of demonstrating a special team. And then we're also going to kind of go through the support and characters that may kind of benefit that team. Now, this is really hard to do for special teams because they literally vary a lot on the person, because that team composition may look like Rushdown, but is not really Rushdown. Because, you know, some people play with Sabo using him as a ranged character, and they might instead use him as a stall rather than a Rushdown character. So we're going to try our best not to kind of go in that direction, where characters can be stall and characters can be Rushdown in a way. But I am going to mention it a couple times, even after I said I won't. So it's going to happen. So the first team we're looking at is Las Femto, if I'm pronouncing his name right. Hopefully I am. He is a player of TheZoneGamingGo. He is primarily known for using Blackbeard and Shanks, and sometimes using Kuma. When he was introduced back in season 4? Yeah, he was introduced back in season 4, or season 3, one of those. He basically came in with Kuma. Like, I wasn't one of the few Kuma players, and then Fortune was playing as Kuma, and then Kuma became a very popular Travel Point character used in that era. He's demonstrated the character really well using Squish and everything else. Oh, Zoro Zero also played as Kuma as well. So about his special team is that it varies. Okay, so you have 2 different anchor types, Blackbeard and Shanks, and you have 2 different points being Shanks and Kuma, but he runs Blackbeard as a point character and kind of utilizes combos with the 3 of the characters together. There's no actual factor in this team besides how he's using him. He can basically defer and change to how he wants, especially added with support. He's using Sento, so he's trying to get that HP boost. So it kind of has a combination of a defensive property as well as a rushdown property with Blackbeard, and then a very technical property and stall-based property with Kuma and Blackbeard being a part of it. And you have Shanks being counterplay, or in some cases known as being one of the main charge characters, you know, in my rules of Silvokiji. So that's pretty much like wrapping up from a special. If it actually makes sense about what special teams are, they're just parts of different teams. Basically, they're just a little bit of everything. Some of them probably do more in one direction than the other, but ultimately that's kind of where special kind of goes to the category. Now, special teams also follow a very simplistic motion of rock, paper, scissors. And I say rock, paper, scissors because I'm actually talking about point guard and anchor. So generally speaking, sometimes when other teams, it's very difficult to kind of, not difficult, it's very easy to decipher which one is the anchor, which one's the point, everything. But special teams, they usually kind of go with everything. They're just kind of like, I want this character, this character, this character, this character, this character, this character. It's just kind of all together. Okay, so next team we're talking about, team number 4 is going to be a Alpiitheking team with Luffy 3K, Aki Inu, and Sanji. And support characters being Beepo. So it's a different approach. So we're still a little bit of defensiveness with the Beepo support, and then Aki Inu being an anchor type character mainly, and then Sanji and Luffy being point characters. Now Sanji and Luffy, we know, have that combo which they can do complete resets over and over until you get to the end of the field. Now that's a big damage thing, and that's kind of where we're going to. So technically speaking, it would be considered a charge, but the reason it's not is because of how Alpiitheking actually plays the team. He plays the team utilizing all 3 of the characters in the motion, especially when Sanji's not fighting girls. Aki Inu's coming in and breaking the Logi, and then Luffy 3K is kicking up with combos, making it simple and easy. So it's pretty much a good sweep. All these characters have very good sweeping potential, and all these characters can kind of play an anchorish role. Of course, Aki Inu can't really play point because he's slow as hoof, but other characters can probably do a little bit well. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next team, since there's really not much we can say about this special variant, except what you already know, because you all know the 3K. So next team is, who is this? Kina. So Kina, Mihawk, Zoro, and Lucia. This is probably the best definition of special team that we actually do have. And the reason I say that is because Generally speaking, when you actually watch Kenna play, you can kind of decipher that Lucci is the anchor, but it's not because Lucci is the anchor type character, it's just about how the way Kenna actually plays team, period. He uses Lucci in a way that makes it seem like Lucci is basically the pinnacle of the entire team. But in actuality, Mihawk and Zoro are actually backing up Lucci. So technically, this could be considered a charge team in a way. But the reason it is not is because Mihawk is there a lot of the times. Lucci is popping up a lot of times. Zoro is popping up as well. Basically, all three of these characters work together in unity. So these three characters are together and they're not separate. That's one of the big differences between that and charge team. In charge teams, you're basically you know, backing up your last character, you know, trying to get their stuff ready, trying to get them started. While in a special team or in this kind of variant, you're basically you're not worried about this character. Like you're like, oh, Lucci's gonna die. Okay, let's keep playing. That's kind of it is. You're like, I can still do something, you know. And that's kind of where this team actually comes in. Now, it could also be considered a rush down. See, like I said to you, special teams could actually be different categories. Now, it's very difficult to look at a team and then basically say what they are until you actually see the player play, because they can look like a rush down but still play stall. Okay, it depends a lot on character preference. So when you're actually playing against your opponent, you need to decipher what type of team they're actually playing with. Now they can easily switch the style of team they want to do it, but this is just kind of your way of basically you know, getting an idea of what to expect or how to actually put in. That's why I made these 5 different team roles, so that way you can kind of have an idea of what's going on. So like I said, basically all 3 of these characters work together. Now, Beepo and Kobe, I'm noticing that Beepo plays a lot in special teams because usually it's support that people don't know what they really don't know what they want. So they're like, okay, Beepo. And also special teams don't really play power buffs. And if they do play a power buff, it'll be a Johnny and Yosoka power buff. You notice that a lot of charge teams actually utilize supports that actually do kind of debuff them in a way, while special teams and rushdown teams kind of steam away from those type of supports and focus mainly on something that will benefit them over in order to do their ongoing rush. So there's not really much you can say about what support you can bring to the party for special type teams because they vary so much. So let me kind of generalize a little bit. So Kobe is a good all-around support to use for most teams because of how he is. You also kind of want to run Bonnie sometimes as well. That's also good support. Beepo is a good support to use in that category. Sinto, already displayed. Killer, I don't really know. Depending on if your team is combo heavy, you might want to run Killer. Kiros and LeBon, your whole main point of special team is to keep all your characters alive. So running those would be a waste of a support slot in my opinion, if you are actually trying to do a special team and try to keep everybody alive in the category. Vivi is also a good one. Vivi, Koru, and Ingram, depending on which one you actually want to utilize first, because with all those characters still being alive, you're going to have access to Unity Assist and Unity Clash and Unity Chain all the time. So that'll be pretty awesome for you to use. And depending on who you go up against, you might want to go with an anti with Wifer, or you might want to go with Garp support or something like that. So you can kind of drain that Del Fruit and kind of take away your opponent's ability, especially when you're going against rush-based teams, charge-based teams, or stall-based teams, because stall-based teams can be shut down easily with Monkey D, Garp, or Wifer when they get that one touch. Now, you're not going to be doing much damage, so Lafetti is an option, but if you really want to run buff with first type team, then you can do Johnny Yosaka. I believe if you try to do a debuff attacker support while you're playing a special type team, you pretty much will lose more benefit, specifically because it depends on really what characters you're using in your special team. Honestly, it's a lot of depending going on for special teams, so I can't really say, but I can tell you that if you're planning on making a special team, focus on your pros of your characters and all your cons of the characters. If you want to. If you don't have the ability to actually get other characters to cover the weaknesses up, then cover those weaknesses up with support characters, and that way you can kind of fix that problem. And so utilize that. You're gonna have to go back and forth between that, but you can pretty much got it down. Okay, guys, that's it for special teams, aka balanced teams. Enjoy the rest of your day and continue playing One Piece Burning Blood.